Okay, so you're not going to believe what has happened. This is actually pretty huge. I had reiki2 class today. And so we had class, and then at the end of class, we have our first reiki2 attunement. And so, like, I'm so sorry. Excuse me. It's an all-day thing. And then, like, at the end, we learn stuff and we do exercises, and then, like, she attunes us. So this attunement was to meet our Reiki spirit guide. And sometimes you don't meet your Reiki spirit guide. Like, she was talking about how, like, she was actually teaching before she finally met her Reiki spirit guide. And so I want to tell you what happened. So the class had, like, gosh, numbers are so hard. Maybe 5, 6 people in it. There was the Reiki master, and then there was Sarah, who is like a gifted medium, and I mean, she's like, wow. I have a lot of respect for her. She's also a pagan. Like, I'm in love with her. And then we had another observer, Angel, who actually is the person who connected me with Dawn, my Reiki master teacher. And so, super great. And then there was another lady there for a refresher, and then there were 2 other, like, new students like me. Okay, go through class. 6 hours later, we have attunements. And Sarah is there. Sarah doesn't get an attunement. She's already gotten her attunement. She's there as like an assistant. And so she's taking notes while we're getting our attunements. And it gets to be my turn. And so we go through like this meditation, and it takes a while. We all start through this like simple meditation of where we're like, in a room or whatever. So my room is a red tint out of like fabric. Super beautiful. It's round. It's so beautiful. I can't really tell. I'm gonna have to go to a fabric store, because it's not silk and it's not like satin, but it's not like, it's sturdy, but it's like just rich red. And so she's talking about how, like, you're going through this doorway, and in the beginning I'm like, mine doesn't have a doorway, mine has curtains. Like, I have to go through these curtains. So I get past it, and I can see the rugs on the floor, and I can see the cushions, and I know I'm in the desert. And so then we have to eventually walk through that. And so, like, I open the curtains, and we have to walk down a corridor. I had a little black kitten rubbing up against my legs as I'm walking down the corridor. So then we come to the space where we're going to meet, or potentially, we're going to walk through the door. Curtains in my case. And the tent I'm walking into is blue. And I'm kind of like a little bit pissed off about that, because I wanted my tent to be purple. Later find out why. But I'm like, okay, just let it go. It's blue. It's blue. Just get over it. I walk in. Oh my gosh. I clearly see my Reiki spirit guide. Number one, I'm surprised because it's a man. I was expecting I wasn't expecting anything, but I thought if anything it'd be like a mermaid, A man. I'm gonna be honest, I have purposefully not chosen guides, human guides, as men. Like, So I was a little bit surprised. And he's dressed in white, and he has on like this, it's not like a full turban or anything like that, but he has like this white, and he's sitting in this beautiful blue tent, and his also has like, you know, rugs and cushions. And so I take some time, and I'm like, namaste, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, I'm so happy to meet you, and blah 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 blah. And I'm like, what's your name? He says Samoa, and I'm like, I had to have heard that wrong, so I'm gonna look that up. But I'm like, are you for real? And so I don't know where this comes from within me, but I literally like throw myself on one of the cushions, practically put my feet up, and we just start smoking the hookah. And he starts talking to me, and he's telling me that it's okay to ask questions, blah 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 blah. We worked through that. He helps me see I need to apologize to Jack. So I did. I sent him an apology email. The thing is that as she was bringing us out of meditation, like it was time for us to leave our tent and then walk back through the corridor and then walk into our original room. Everybody had rooms. One girl went through a wardrobe, so I can see how her, like the Narnia, she had a Narnia kind of situation. When it came time to leave my tent, I started crying, and she just stuck, you know, because like all of our eyes are closed, and she just stuck a tissue in my hand, and I was just like, thank you, or whatever, because I needed it. I did not want to leave the tent. So I don't even remember much about the corridor. Like, oh, the corridor on the way back, it was really kind of beautiful because it had columns. It was very thin, like corridor, but it had columns. But the cloths, the drapes, they were red, but they were tied so that you could see the light and so the sunlight. And when it first started, like, I wondered if I was in Africa. I was like, am I going to Africa? Like, you know, what is this going to be about? And this was before I saw the man. So I go back to my red tent, and then she brings us out of meditation, and then everybody goes around and talks about their door and their spirit guide, and it was actually pretty cool because there had been a couple of people there who had been reiki2 attuned before, and these were like their refresher courses or whatever, you know, just coming in for some attune-ups. I'm sorry, that was, oh my god, attune-ups. Anyway, they were coming in for that, and like their first, you know, like that was some of the, they hadn't met their Reiki guides before, so I felt really honored too, and I learned a lot of lessons. Okay, so Sarah, man, she took notes, like as Reiki master teacher would go around to each person and attune them, she would, you know, close her eyes or whatever and just write what she saw, and man, she is good. Some other people, I mean, she basically, like, she's like a validator. Here's what she tells me. First, she points out the red tint thing about the feminine and all of that, and then going into the blue. And so just the mesh of the masculine and the feminine, and that's something that, like, you know, yeah, I have been deconstructing or whatever. She sees a baby carriage. She doesn't know about Olive. She sees a wedding ring with like a heart. She sees me pushing a boy on a swing. She saw a couple of other things, and I have it all written down because it was so it was so intense that, like, it's like you almost have to write it down immediately. So, I'm sorry. So we all shared our stories. We all, you know, I emailed a couple of people when I got back, when I got home, from what I learned from my Reiki master guide. And that person can transform. Like, it doesn't mean that it's always a man. In this case, though, the fact that it was a man was a really big lesson for me, because, you know, I have been dismissing men a lot lately. Just as a anti-patriarchy kind of thing. But I have wondered, you know, like, some men are in tune and intuitive and open to that, but a lot aren't. And so I guess I'm looking for the one who is. But oh yeah, I don't know if I mentioned this part. Yeah, so we basically just, like, sat there in his tent and smoked the hookah and talked. Well, he did a lot of the talking, but he listened a little too. Like, he let me know that it's good to ask questions, and that I'd caused Jack a lot of pain. That was some of the big ones. Yeah, there was a blow up on Facebook a day or two ago that really clued me in that, wow, there was some unresolved issues there. So, you know, making amends. So I go back, I have to, you know, write everything down for the next 2 weeks and just process and let this attunement, you know, absorb. But then I go back in 2 weeks for my Reiki 2 class and attunement, and then we have, like, Reiki 1 reunion, then we have Reiki 2 reunion, and then I have court. I really need this thing recast. My thumb, chopping it off would feel better. So anyway, okay, woo! Woo! I'm at our Reiki guide. I'm so excited. I'm so excited. I'm gonna try to think of, like, who he looked like in, like, a. He was just dressed in all white. It's like I felt like we were in Egypt. We were in the desert somewhere. But I could be surprised. It could be, you know, I could be going to. Iran? I don't know. Somewhere where there's a desert. Anyway, I gotta go. I'm tired. My sleeping pill is kicking in. I've been out of medicine. I have more coming. Anyway, lots of hugs. And I've been working. Tonight's class was learning how to do long distance Reiki. So I will be sending you, if you accept, I will be adding you to my long distance Reiki list. I'm sorry, I just started thinking about long distance calls and, you know, your Fab 5, whatever. Anyway, this video is going to be too big to load. Okay, I love you. Good night, or good morning in your case. Okay, bye.